Okay, welcome back. Today we are talking about, I know I say this every time, one of my favorite topics, and that is how to price junk removal jobs. And here's the key, without losing money. Even better, as an added bonus, we're going to talk about how to price these jobs over the phone. That's right. I know for some of you that is sacrilege. That is a crazy, dumb idea, but we've been doing this more than 8 years and it has worked for us phenomenal. So we swear by it and we think you should too. And I'm going to get into why that is and how to do it safely and effectively. So let's get started. So pricing mistakes kill profit. What does that mean? It means most junk removal companies don't lose money because they work too little. They lose it because they quote wrong. This is the key, especially if you're a newer junk removal business. I would say if you are less than 5 years old, less than 3 years old for sure, you're probably making some big mistakes in terms of your pricing. And I'm going to get into exactly what that means, how to avoid those mistakes, because price is way more than just truck space. Here's what goes into it. It's not just the volume. How much truck space does it fill? So truck space matters, but it's only one piece of the job. Every quote is the sum of all of these. Volume, yes. Weight, we all know that. Labor, how hard is it to move? We had a job where we went and did a big office clean out, and I think we estimated this to be a couple of days. There was a lot of breaking down of cubicles. There were probably well over 100 cubicles. This was easily a 30,000 square foot office that we had to go in there and completely clear out cubicles, computers, standing desks, you name it. It was a full office clean out. One of our guys quoted this job. The one thing that he did not account for was the distance, meaning he forgot to ask, hey, how do we access the freight elevator or the stairs to get this stuff out of here? Once our guys got on site is when we realized the mistake we had made. And by the way, I'm not putting all the blame on one of our guys. We should have caught that as well. One of us, the manager, Davis, myself, one of us should have caught this mistake. And we've since remedied this by having a multi-layer approach for large jobs. Anytime there's a large quote, we make sure it goes through multiple sets of eyes, not one, not two, but three. And the reason is because the amount of times that one person, usually Davis, he's my eagle eyes, will catch something and go, hey, we got to remember this one thing. The other thing is dump fees. What are your actual disposal costs? You know, it's easy when you're first starting to get excited about a $600 job. When you get to the landfill and we only charge $300 for that job, well, minus all your other fees, you've gone in the hole. You've made zero money. You feel good in the moment, but you've actually made zero money on the day. So be very careful and make sure you're accounting for dump fees. Okay, I mentioned access because that goes hand in hand with labor. Now, what's the risk? Is there risk in terms of your physical health? Are you risking hurting yourself? So always make sure you're assessing the risk itself. I say that because we did a job last week and I think we ended up charging a couple $1,000s for this job, but it was basically a shed clean out. And if you're thinking, wow, a shed clean out for $2,000, that had to be some huge shed. It really wasn't a huge shed. I think it was maybe a 20 by 12. The reason it was so expensive is because it was full of old stuff that had been rained on. It was dirty. It was gross. There was families of raccoons living in there. There was a wasp nest that my son and my nephew got stung. It was a risky job and it was very time consuming. All these things come into play. What was the volume? How much did all that stuff weigh? It was a lot of heavy rugs. How much labor? A lot of labor. The access was so difficult because we had to back our truck up at the road. Then it was a long walk down a hill to get to his shed. So we factored all those things in to eventually get to this right here. Here's the final price. Volume pricing is your starting point. Truckload pricing is your baseline, and it's perfect for mixed household junk. Garage cleanouts, furniture, light bulky items. Okay, heavy jobs need heavy pricing. Let's take a look. Half of a truck of couches is only 400 pounds. So if you're talking paying by the tonnage, when you get to the landfill, you're going to have a very, very small bill. However, if you get to the landfill and they're charging $80 per ton and you've got 6,000 pounds of concrete in there, which does happen, you're going to be paying $240. So again, same volume that it's consuming, but look at the difference in terms of your dump fees. So make sure you are taking that into consideration because it's consuming the same space, but 15 times the weight. So you never price them the same. Labor changes everything. Stairs. Is it a long walk? Basements, attics, hoarding conditions. How much bagging are you doing of those loose items? Is it really tight access? Do you have to do any disassembly like those cubicles? So again, you're going to find yourself at some point getting so excited because one of your guys quoted this job for $5,000 or $25,000, 50,000. We've had some big quotes. Problem is if you don't really take all this into consideration, that job that should have taken you or you thought was going to take you 3 or 4 days takes up a month, takes up 2 to 3 weeks. And now you're scratching your head going, how in the world did we miss this? And are we going to make any money? If the job slows your crew down, the price goes up. Know your disposal cost. Know what your local dump charges by material type. Some jobs look profitable until the dump ticket punches you in the face. Construction debris by the ton, tires per unit, yard waste. It's a separate facility. Mattresses, flat surcharge, appliances per unit, hazardous. Listen, you got to be careful about hazardous stuff. We don't even take hazardous stuff anymore. At least we're not supposed to. One of my guys recently did, and he's getting an atomic wedgie later. Don't you worry. Now, can you take it? You absolutely can. You can take it to certain facilities. We choose as a company not to take it because, frankly, it's too much of a hassle. We've had several places around here locally that don't want to take it at all, and some do. So we've decided as a business, we don't take hazardous materials at all. We don't take paint. We don't take chemicals. At least we're not supposed to. Minimum charges protect your business. Just remember that. Small jobs still cost you. Your minimum charge isn't about the item. It's about the trip. I have heard people say, and I think they're right, I've heard people say, even if you do a minimum job and you lose money sometimes, it's worth it in the grand scheme because that customer may call you back a year from now and have you do a big garage clean out. I totally respect that position, but we don't do it that way. We have increased our minimum charge to $150. That is our minimum charge. Now, can we go less than that? Of course we can. But things that you have to consider, for example, is what did I pay for that lead? If I see a lead that comes in and it's on a Google ad or an LSA, and I know I'm paying every bit of $60 to $80 for that job, I'm charging $150. Now, what we always say is, listen, keep in mind that price gives you 50 cubic feet of space that you can use. So in other words, to help you visualize, that's about the size of a standard pickup truck bed if everything is flat inside the bed of that truck. That helps people get a visual of how much space they're working with. So if you have some old boxes or bins, some old clothes you want to get rid of, you can throw that in there as well. And oftentimes that does get them to convert. Now, what if that lead comes in and we know that it was from an email campaign, a text messaging, an SMS campaign, it's a repeat customer? We don't charge 150. We can take off 10, 20% because we know technically that was a free lead. There was no marketing expense attached to that lead. So guys, use your discretion when it comes to this. I'm not telling you what you should price your minimum at. Only you know your business. And you have to base your minimum price on these things: fuel, payroll, insurance, drive time, scheduling, opportunity cost, disposal fees. So make sure that you are arriving at the right price for your business. Single item pricing. Keep a simple baseline for common items, then adjust for access, weight, distance, and disposal. Now, for us, a couch fits into our minimum pricing category. The same with a refrigerator, plus there's that disposal fee you have to account for. Piano, at a minimum, you should be probably charging, depending on your market, $200 for a small piano. What if it's a bigger piano? What if it's a small piano, but it's got stairs? You got to factor that in. What if it is a large upright piano where it comes up to your shoulder? That thing's going to weigh 800 pounds. So the disposal fees are not going to kill you. However, the labor might. That is a heavy piano. You really want to have two guys. Now, if it's in the garage and you've got a box truck with a lift gate, you can have one guy get that big dolly, slide it on the lift gate, lift it up, push it in place, ratchet strap, you're good to go. Which again is why we love box trucks with lift gates. I'll say that all day long. They are far superior because one person can do the work of two in most instances. Mattresses also don't take up a ton of room, but you also usually have a surcharge on top of that when you take it to the landfill. Washer and dryer. Have they been disconnected already? Yes. Are they in the garage? Are they on the first floor? Is it upstairs? Ask the right questions. Hot tub, same thing. Minimum we're going to charge for a hot tub is $300. Bigger jobs, cleanouts need ranges. Garages, homes, estates, storage units, move outs should be quoted in price ranges. Get photos and then confirm on site. Okay, so remember, ask these questions. What's the volume? How much is really there? Is there a bunch of loose stuff, miscellaneous versus bulky items? Are you having to bag a bunch of this stuff? Are there stairs? Is there a mix of heavy items? Is there dense material that's hiding? You have to account for that stuff. And what is the truck access? How close or how far from the job site to the truck? Demo debris is not regular junk. Why? Decks, sheds, fences, drywall, flooring, cabinets, concrete, and construction debris needs their own pricing logic. Labor. It's going to be much harder for those kind of jobs than it is if I'm moving a bunch of pillows or cardboard out of your garage? How much equipment is involved? If we're using our heavy equipment, our skid steers, our excavators, you have to account for your equipment costs. The dump fees, that's going to be a lot more. If you're getting rid of a mobile home or tearing up a bunch of concrete, the dump fees are going to be astronomical compared to a garage or house clean out. So this is where the weight comes in. There's added risk because it's heavier, it's bulkier, it's more cumbersome. And then the cleanup time. We always want to make that property look amazing when we're done. Demo debris is where bad pricing goes to die. Remember that. Use photos to quote faster. We live by this. Guys, if you're not doing this, you are missing the mark. The job is straightforward and items are visible. Access looks simple from the photos. The customer needs a fast ballpark. You want to avoid wasting fuel and labor on a drive out. So let me tell you exactly how we do this. Call comes in. I'm going to answer the phone and I'm going to say, thanks for calling Junk Radar. This is Ted. And they're going to say, hey, yeah, I'm just calling to get a quote. Can you help me with that? I sure can. Did you want to describe it over the phone? Did you want to send pictures or did you want to have us stop by and do a free on-site assessment? Most of the time, they're going to say, yeah, I can send pictures. They might even say I can describe it over the phone. If they have a bunch of miscellaneous items, I will let them know, okay, sounds like you've got a bunch of loose items, a bunch of smaller things. So for that kind of a job, we need to see pictures. The job is based on volume, meaning how much room is everything going to consume inside of our truck. So the fastest way to get you an accurate price range, not price range, is if you can take a picture or pictures, depending on what you have, and text it to us so that we can see it. Once we see it, we can give you a rough price range, and then we won't touch anything until we get on site, confirm the price, and make sure you're happy with it. If you are, we'll take it. If not, it was just a free estimate, never a sales pitch or any kind of high pressure tactics. Guys, like 99% of the time, they're going to say, oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll send pictures right now. Which number do I send it to? Or is this the number that I send it to? So what we say is, if it's okay, I'm going to text you right back. That way you can just hit reply. The customer is going to reply with those photos. Looking at those photos, you can say, okay, based on the photos, what would be the minimum we would do this job for? $150? Great. What's the maximum? I mean, let's go crazy. What's worst case? $300? Okay, there you go. So we're going to text them back and say, thank you for sending those photos based on the pictures you just submitted. We're estimating this job to be a minimum of $150 with a maximum of $300. Now, keep in mind, we could be off in either direction, which is why this is simply a price range until we get on site. Once we get on site, we don't touch anything until we confirm the price, make sure you're happy with it. If you are, we take it. If not, it was just a free estimate and we'll be on our way. 95% of the time, at least, the customer says, okay, sounds good, because we're not locking them into anything. Now, what happens if we get on site and the customer adds stuff? Do they ever do that? Yes. You guys know that all the time. So at that point, we have a picture that we can reference. We can go back and see the original picture they submitted and say, you know what? It looks like when this picture first came in, it was simply a headboard and a footboard and the bed frame and the mattress and the box spring. Now it looks like there's a couple of side tables and even a couch, which we're happy to take, by the way, but obviously the price is going to be adjusted based on the additional volume. When we get to that landfill, we're charged based on the weight. These additional items add additional weight to the job, plus the time, the additional time we have to put into this. So I tell you what, now that I'm here looking at it, it's every bit of 300, but this job's every bit of 450. But since we're already here, we're going to knock it out right now for 350. So I will text you as soon as we're done, and then you can come back out here and inspect it, make sure it looks great, and then take care of payment, and we'll be on our way. Sound good? And that's it. That's it. So simple. Notice I assumed the sale. Here's a bonus for you. I assume the sale. Guys, if you're not assuming the sale, then you're missing out. I'm not saying be a pushy car salesman. Don't do that. But I'm not going to ask them, is that okay? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So once I say that price of 350, my next thing is we're going to go ahead and do it for 350. So we're going to get started, load everything up. As soon as we're done, we'll send you a text. You can come out here and inspect it, make sure we got everything. That sound good? Great. We'll see you in just a few minutes. That's it. It is so simple. And 99 times out of 100, the customer says, okay, yeah, sounds good. Let me tell you our process of how we quote from photos. First, we're going to ask that customer to text clear photos, more than one angle if they have multiple items, or maybe it's just something that's big and bulky. We're going to ask if the items are bulky, or is it a miscellaneous pile of stuff? Is it just a bunch of loose items in their garage or the house? Where are they located? Is it upstairs? Is it in the attic? Is it in the basement? How close can the truck get? Can we back right up to the garage? Or do we have to park by the street and then walk 300 feet into your attic to get that stuff? That is going to be a huge factor in terms of the price. Then you always give a range, never an exact price. Confirm the final price on site before you touch anything. Photos are going to help you quote faster. On-site confirmation protects your profit. Guys, what you don't want to do is get in this habit where as soon as a call comes in, especially in the beginning when you're just starting, you don't want to get that call come in and you go, great, we can be there within the next 30 minutes because you can. Well, you still just wasted 30 minutes if you get to that customer's house and you say, okay, you know what? That pile is every bit of $300, but I'm going to do it for 250. And they go, 250? Man, I could do this myself for $35. And it does happen. It will happen. So we have learned, don't do that. Do not just hop in your vehicle or send your guys and go do that job because oftentimes there is going to be a big disparity in terms of their perception of what they're going to pay versus what you need to charge them. So this is why I firmly believe you should be quoting over the phone a price range. Don't lock into a price, but give them a price range. Once again, the amount of calls we get on a weekly basis, if not daily, where the customer says, thank you for giving me a price range. Nobody else would. You've got my business. Because what they're looking for is, are you within my budget? If they know they can't spend more than $300, why are you going out there? If you otherwise would have said that's $600 worth of stuff, then don't even go. Remember, it's okay to pass. It's okay to not do every single job that comes along. In fact, you should not be trying to do every single job. You need to be looking at your profitability. You need to be protecting your profits, not simply trying to show gross revenue. Give a range, not a number. Based on the photos, you're probably going to be between 225 and 300. Once we arrive, we'll see everything in person. We will confirm the final price before we touch anything. And we're going to make sure you're happy with that price. If you are, we'll get started. If not, it was just a free estimate. And then go quiet. And they go, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that's definitely within my budget. Perfect. I just need some info. And then you were all set. Have you worked with us before? No. Okay, great. First name, then go right into the close. Start getting all their information and book it in your system. Ranges build trust and it protects you from surprises. Some jobs need eyes on them where you don't want to provide pricing over the phone, not even a price range. So be very careful not to give even price ranges on large jobs. You have to insist based on your description, we need to get on site because the last thing I want to do is give you a price that's wrong and then you're mad at us or we get it wrong and we're mad at ourselves. So what I'd rather do is just send our guys out. It's a free consultation. There is no charge whatsoever. There's no sales pitch, no pressure, and there's no obligation beyond this free assessment. My guys are going to get on site, do a quick walkthrough. We're going to give you an upfront price. Make sure you're happy with it. And if you are, we can get started whenever you're ready. Sound good? Great. That's it. Estate cleanouts, demolition jobs, heavy debris, unknown commercial jobs, and anything that's unclear or risky. Make sure that you are getting on site before you throw numbers out there. Pricing mistakes that cost you money, quoting exact prices from bad photos. It's okay to ask for more photos. Forgetting labor difficulty, as I mentioned early on, charging too little for minimum jobs, being afraid to charge for profit. Guys, don't be afraid to say with confidence, now that I'm seeing it here, this is going to be $600 for us. Say it with confidence, say it with a smile. What you don't want to do is go, yeah, let's see, that job is, phew, you're probably looking at between $500 and $600, something like that. And they go, oh, what? Because they're feeding off your energy. You want to say, you know what? That job is every bit of $750. Since we're already here, we got the truck already backed up, we're ready to go. We'll do it for 600. As soon as we're done, I'm going to text you. You can come out here and inspect it, make sure everything looks great. Any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to get started. Assume the sale from that point. Just tell them you're going to get started. Now, if they don't want you to get started, they'll tell you, and then you back off. But otherwise, assume the sale and let's go. Let's get started. Never ignore your dump fees. Always factor that in. As we mentioned early on, if you've got 6,000 pounds of construction debris, you better account for that before you quote out $300 and lose money on that job. Treating heavy debris like household junk is going to cost you big time. Not confirming on site is going to obliterate your business. Make sure you always confirm on site and tell them that. That should be etched in stone. That should be in your brain at all times. If you start quoting price ranges over the phone, make sure you let them know we're going to confirm everything on site before we touch anything. And lastly, cheap pricing is a slow business death. Remember that. So if you think, man, I can't be up there pricing with the big boys, with the big franchises, you better, or you're going to be out of business soon. You have to at least be competitive. Now, a lot of us think when we first start, we need to undercut the competition. And that may be true to an extent. When you first start, you don't have the expenses. So, yes, you can come in there and charge $75, $95 versus 135 to 150 is the minimum in my area. That's the minimum for most of your reputable businesses here. So if you're brand new, you're a guy with a truck and trailer, sure, you can charge 75 bucks, 95 bucks, that's up to you, but long term that's going to kill you. If you don't continue to raise your pricing in time, that will kill your business. If you're growing. If you're not growing, fine. By the way, there's plenty of guys, I know some that are totally content with a truck and trailer or their single dump truck or single box truck indefinitely. They've been doing this 10 years. They're happy with that because they make a good living because they're on the truck every day. But those are the outliers. For most of us that want to grow that business, you need people on the trucks. So in that instance, you have to increase your pricing as time goes on. You've got more payroll, you've got more trucks to pay for, you've got higher insurance costs. So all those things come into play. So make sure that you are not staying at those minimum prices forever. So here's our simple rule. You want to quote fast, you want to confirm on site, but you want to protect your profit. Use photos to move faster, use ranges to stay protected, use on-site confirmation to avoid surprises, and price every job like your business needs to survive because it does. I hope you got something really good out of today's episode, how to price junk removal jobs without losing money. Guys, we have so much valuable information at junkrater.com/playbook. If you need resources to help your business grow and thrive, check out the playbook. And also check out our school community. Go to school and type in Junk Raider University. Join our platform. We'd love to see you there. We're just growing it, but we love to hear from other junk removal business owners in particular. All are welcome, but we really love hearing from other junk removal business owners to hear what's working, what's not, what are your challenges, what are your successes, what's the coolest thing you found, how do you maintain healthy culture, and on and on and on. So if you haven't already joined or at least checked us out, please go over there. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you next time.